Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity. My name is Michael Leone, and I'll be pushing the slides along this morning for you. And starting off is Deirdre with song number 1.
Happy Sunday! Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves you and I love you too. God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary and lift your voices and sing with me. We come together, we come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together, we come together, in the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary and lift your voices and sing with me. We come together, we come together, we come together. We come together in the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. From every walk of life, through every creed and color, in kinship we unite. Someone else. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, namaste, I bow to you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary and lift your voices and sing with me. We come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love, we come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love, we come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love, we come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much. Here we go. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, and you can love you so much that you can start loving me. Hang on. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, and you can love you so much that you can start loving me. Let's affirm that for ourselves. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, and you can love you so much that you can start loving me. Last time, here we go. I love myself so much that I can love you so much. You can love you, and you can love you so much. You can start loving me, that you can start loving me. I see the beauty in you. I see the beauty in you. I see the power in you. I see the greatness in you. And so it is. I see the child in you. I see the sweetness in you. I see the softness in you. And so it is. I can see it. It's right there before me. I can feel it deep in my soul. I just know it, that you are an angel full of magic and power and pure sweet love.
And as I breathe into this moment of love, join with me in consciousness, for this is what I know to be true. There is only one divine mind, and it is my mind as well. And it's from this place that I'm able to see out into the world and see the love everywhere I look. For the divine is love, therefore I am love. And so I allow love to guide, to support, and to be who I am in every way. Every cell in my body is vibrating with this love, bringing back homeostasis and the harmony and balance that love, only love, can bring. So with a grateful heart, I allow it to be so, and I affirm, and so it is.
So it is.
I see the goodness in you. I see the wisdom in you. I see the strength in you. And so it is. I see the joy that's in you. I see a light shining through. I see the love that's in you. And so it is. See the goodness in you. I see the wisdom in you. I see the strength that's in you. And so it is. I see the joy that's in you. I see your light shining through. I see the love that's in you. And so it is. I can see it. I can see it. It's right there before me. I can feel it deep in my soul. I just know it, that you are an angel full of magic and power and pure sweet love. I see the grace that's in you. I see the courage in you. I see the heart that's in you. And so it is. I see the beauty in you. I see the power in you. I see the greatness in you. And so it is.
Thank you, Deirdre. That was awesome. Today's daily word is joy. I am God's joy. The Apostle Paul declared to his followers at Thessalonica, "Yes, you are our glory and joy." I pause to remember relationships that have brought me joy, and I bless everyone who has shared those relationships. I treasure the good feeling that rises when people I care about let me know I have brought joy into their lives. Sharing joy is an important part of the human experience, and it has the potential to bring people together in spiritual community. Joy is an attribute of God and is a sure sign of the awareness of God's presence. As I grow in spiritual awareness through prayer, God's joy permeates my consciousness and infuses every area of my life. As I make a commitment to expressing joy, I become an ever clearer expression of God's perfect idea. Yes, you are our glory and joy. 1 Thessalonians, paragraph 2, verse 20. The annual theme this year is Perfect Vision 2020, Seeing Through a Spiritual Lens. And our monthly theme is Many Colors of Love. And now Deirdre will lead us in a song, followed by Rev Ann speaking about our body and accepting just the way it is.
We're going to be singing along with Deja. Deja wrote this song when she was 7 years old. We're all the same inside. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. It doesn't matter if you're short or tall. It doesn't matter if you're big or small. We're all the same inside. We're all the same inside. Oh, oh, we're all the same inside. Oh, oh, we're all the same inside. We can sing that part together. Oh, oh, we're all the same inside. Oh, oh, we're all the same inside. And sing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're fat or thin. It doesn't matter if you smile or grin. It doesn't matter if you lose or win. We're all the same inside. We're all the same inside. Oh, let's sing it together. Oh, oh, we're all the same inside. Oh, oh, we're all the same inside. Oh, 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 we're all the same inside. Oh, oh, we're all the same inside. Here we go. We are all the same. We're all the same inside. We are all the same. We're all the same inside. We are all the same. We're all the same inside. We are all the same. We're all the same inside.
Yes, we are. Good morning. I'm Rev Ann. Very nice to see you all this morning. Looks like the sun is trying to come out. Yay! It's certainly one of the things that I miss about being in the prairies is there's probably 360 days of sunshine versus the lake effect that we have and the grayer days. And I find sunshine and smiles seem to go together with me for some reason. They're attached to those muscles, you know. So today we're going to talk about, look at, and explore this idea that the body is not an apology. And we certainly live in a society where it seems as though if you don't look a certain way and don't dress a certain way and all of those kind of things, that you're looked down upon or that you're somehow weird or different. So I'd like to explore that a little bit. So we're going to unpack the idea of apology, and then we're going to talk about what the body does and is, and then a guide for occupants. Anybody an occupant? Yes, it's like if we don't look after it, where will we live? So there's this wonderful story, and of course it's not true because I believe it's not true, but I think it's really interesting. And that is that there are these scientists, and they have developed, of course, cloning and creating new body parts and all of that kind of thing in a lab using these 3D producers and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And they just figure on this one day that they're feeling very, very cocky and decide to go to God and say, God, you know, let's have a human-making contest. And let's just see, because, I mean, we've cloned sheep, we've done all this stuff. Let's do that. And God sends his emissary down and says, okay, let's begin. And the scientist reaches down and grabs a bit of dirt, and God says, get your own dirt. And the whole idea is that we're led to believe that we create our life. And yet, is that really true? It's through us that life is created. It's through our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our actions as a consequence of that, that we direct our life and we move in that direction if we choose, but we don't actually create it. Something for you to think about. So unpacking apology. It's an interesting thing, this idea of the body is not an apology. I thought about the word apology, and the first thing that came to my mind was a client I had years ago. I was in the beauty business, and she was quite elderly. She was a British woman, and she came from relative aristocracy because her family were the original people to develop rubber in South America. And so she grew up in that kind of environment. And for some reason, every sentence almost that she said to me was, "I'm sorry." And after about 15 minutes, and this happened every month because I saw her every month, it just would make me crazy that why would you constantly be apologizing for what you have to say, who you are, how you showed up? It was like an apology around everything. And I didn't ask her because I was serving her rather than being someone instructing her. And just thought to myself, what's that all about? And as I thought about it this week, it made me think about perhaps a level of unworthiness, a level of I need to apologize for even being here. So let me do that first, and then I'll say what I want to say. I don't know if any of you know anyone like that, or in certain areas of their life where they seem to be really apologetic, but it made me sad to think about that, because I know that every one of us is magnificent from the inside out. And so an apology is more than saying I'm sorry. And there's a lot of this idea in New Thought that we should never apologize or say the word I'm sorry, because somehow then it resonates in your lips first before it goes out into the world. And I thought, well, how can I explain that to someone if I've done something that I'm really sorry for? Because I didn't know any better, or I didn't realize it would hurt someone's feelings. And I don't really have an answer for that other than to be compassionate in the moment and say what feels right. But I won't use it loosely anymore, the I'm sorry. Like even the idea of I'm sorry I'm late. Well, and I wasn't pointing you out, honey. So here's something to think about. Like, how many of you have had a dog and they look like this on occasion? A cat never looks like that. Sorry can imply justification, approval of others, sincere regret, kindness, and understanding. And I remember somebody once saying that if you feel the need to justify something, what you're actually doing is saying what you think of what I've just done, or what you think of me, is more important than what I think of me. And so have you ever felt the need to justify an action? So I invite you the next time that you do, before you do, ask yourself, why am I justifying? Is it that I'm not sure? Is it that I really need your approval? What is it? And it's not good or bad. What we really like to explore here is this idea of deliberate living, being really conscious. So an apologetic way of life, which is the woman that I just described to you earlier, includes behaviors or beliefs that one is not entitled to their own joy and power, and that they must take steps to atone somehow for existing the way that they do. I remember a doctor whose car was broken into in Toronto, and this was a few years ago. He had a beautiful Mercedes. He had done all of the work to be wealthy and was living a very wealthy life, and his car was the only car that was always broken into in this parking lot because it was the only car of that caliber. And there was discussion on the news about, well, maybe he should just drive a cheaper car. I thought, you know, it's interesting that we live in a time where you have to be apologetic about what you have or you don't have. And why is it that we have that? I don't have an answer for you other than that I choose to not be that way if I can. So in Unity, we encourage your magnificence. That you are perfect just the way that you are. Sometimes, maybe we don't like someone's behavior, but who they are at the core, who you are at the core, is magnificent. So you're worthy of all the best that life has to offer. And I can honestly say to every one of you, I love you, because it comes from a place of recognizing that something in you is the same as who I am, and that I wish you joy and happiness, because I know that that's what we all deserve. Principle is not bound by precedent, and I'll unpack that statement. Principle, or God, or life, is not bound by what has gone before. Would you agree with that? Something for you to think about, because that's also something that we really look at teaching, is that just because things have happened a certain way up to this point doesn't mean that they have to continue that way in terms of the choices that you make. Perhaps in the cause and effect there are things that you need to apologize for, or to atone for, or to make right in some way. But the thing is that you get to start over and over again with every thought, with every moment, with every day. And that at the core of you, you are wonderful, magnificent. And so is everyone who behaves badly. At the core, they are. So what the body does and is. So how do we celebrate the glory of our existence? How do you celebrate the glory of your existence? Anybody? Singing? Yes. An annual birthday, maybe? Yay! I'm another year older. So do we eat maximally and exercise minimally? I know that I certainly had a time in my life where it wasn't even in my peripheral vision that I needed to be cognizant of those things. It wasn't something that was taught to me as I was growing up. And what ended up happening when I was studying ministry is I became very sedentary for about 10 years, which was not my normal behavior. And so in that less activity, and probably other changes like getting older, perhaps, I started to gain weight. And the thing is that now, no matter how minimally I eat, because I can't be as active as I'd like to be, I seem to maintain this status quo. And you know, it's interesting looking back at that. Whose responsibility was it to be really appreciating who I am and what I'm capable of? I think certainly teachers, our parents, teaching us how to be healthier, that kind of thing. And yet, does that really mean anything? I'm thinking about this story of Greg Braden, and he was studying about Tibet and that part of the world. And he read about this man. His name was Milarepa. And Milarepa was someone who decided to leave India and go high into the mountains of Tibet. And he's left something behind in this cave that you can go if you have a guide that'll show you, where he was able to put his hand into the rock inside the cave and pull it out, and there is just a hole that's the shape of his hand that goes into the rock. But he decided to go there to just commune with life and not be disturbed by the normal things that were going on in the world. And he was apparently a kind of pale celery green in color, because there was nothing else to eat but the lichen on the rocks, because it was so high altitude. And yet, so all he had was water, this lichen, and I don't know if he had clothes, probably did, and lived like that for, they say, over 100 years. So does it matter what you eat? It's a question, isn't it? Or is it your beliefs about what you eat? Another question. So here's something really interesting. I love this story, and it's about Benedict Cumberbatch. How much would it cost to build a human? In 2013, Cambridge Science Festival, Britain's Royal Society of Chemistry, calculated how much it would cost to assemble all the elements to build Benedict Cumberbatch. So that would be like any other person, but he's interesting. So 59 elements are needed. 6 are carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. 61% of available space in a human being is oxygen. Yet we're not light and fluffy like you would imagine oxygen to be because of the 10% hydrogen bonded to the oxygen, which makes it water. And so then we become this solid, heavier mass. So oxygen would cost the amount that was required, about 20 bucks. Hydrogen, 30 bucks. Nitrogen, $1. 30 pounds of carbon. Calcium, phosphorus, potassium, $80,000. Total approximate value, $160,000, and then add labor, and $300,000. Yeah, with tax, and now that Brexit has happened and everything else, who knows what the pound is worth? So yet we can't make a single living cell, let alone Benedict Cumberbatch. They can clone them, but they can't make them. So it's more than the elements that make you. It's the miracle of life that's breathing you, that's creating everything that's in your life and maintaining it, sustaining it. You're not even breathing yourself, because if you had to consciously think about it, I think I would forget very often. Do you take your existence mostly for granted? Oh, there is so much I take for granted, and I'm grateful that I do. Can you imagine juggling however many billions of cells I have and telling each one of them, oh, don't forget to recycle? So the body, as all the physical reality, is the manifestation of the divine in a form with which we can interact. Your body is the vehicle that spirit is driving around, housing your soul, so it may engage and interact with everything around you. Let's respect and celebrate the body for the perfect way that it houses you. So let's take a moment and just say, thank you, body. Give it a little pat. It works 24 hours a day for decades without mainly needing any regular servicing or the installation of spare parts, which I have a couple now. Runs on water and a few organic compounds, is soft and rather lovely, is accommodatingly mobile and pliant, reproduces itself with enthusiasm, makes jokes, feels affection, appreciates a red sunset and a cool breeze. We sure can't make any of that. That's just built into us. So without requiring any of your attention, just now in this moment, your body just made 1 million red blood cells. The most remarkable part of you is your DNA. Nearly 1 meter in each cell, if all stretched together, would go past Pluto over 1 million billion miles. Think of it. There is enough of you to leave the solar system. So when they say you're a cosmic being, boy, are you ever. Just think about that. That's just inside each of your cells. And that's not even thinking about everything else. So loving the body, a guide for occupants. One of the things that I learned a number of years ago was I took some training in Ayurveda. And in Ayurveda, they basically said that individuals are divided into 3 different types of bodies. Akasha, Kapha, which is K-A-P-H-A, Vata, or a Pitta. And they understood that if you recognized the type of body that you had, and you noticed when it was out of balance or imbalance, that you could actually bring it back to balance by what you ate. So the chemistry made a difference as well as your thought processes. So a kapha would be me, someone who generally moves fairly slowly, methodically, and just gets it done, a bit like the tortoise and the hare, I would be the tortoise. The hare would be a pitta, someone who's constantly moving really, really fast. And then the vata would be the one that's sort of in between. And for me, a kapha, if I'm out of balance chemically, then I tend to want to sleep all the time and don't tend to move around all that much. If I'm a pitta and I'm out of balance, I'm running around like a Mexican jumping bean. And what they discovered in Ayurveda was that if I ate foods that were to bring harmony to my body, it would be astringent types of foods. And so a kapha would eat things like celery and cucumbers and fresh, crunchy types of foods. The last thing I want when I'm out of balance and feeling sleepy, I'll tell you. What do I want? French fries, gravy, sauces. And what does it do? But the opposite for me. It does not revive me. And a pitta, what do they need? Gravy, mashed potatoes, those kind of things to bring balance, because when they eat the crunchy things, they're even more hyper. And so if you're interested, you could look that up and just see if you fit into any of those categories, and perhaps that might help you a little bit. I have another friend of mine who did the blood type diet. Anybody heard of that? And again, if you ate according to the type of blood that you had homeostasis. You were in much more balance. And she certainly believes in that. So what I'm going to ask you now, and you may not have the answer, and I certainly don't have the answer, I can guess, is it that that's really true, or is it my belief system that that's true, or is it both? Because if I am chemicals and minerals, then they must affect something. But is it my thoughts that cause that to happen? Or is it the other way around? I believe it's the thoughts. And so much of our thinking, like we just noticed, goes on without us thinking. Our body is looking after itself, doing all of that. So our culture encourages a constant battle against our bodies. The diet culture, working ourselves to the point of exhaustion, missing sleep, more and more commitments. Is this what your body wants? The body's intelligent and divine. Listen to it and love it just as you love your mind and your heart. One of the trainings that we had in the Ayurvedic training was that we were asked at every lunchtime to eat lunch in silence. And the lunches that we were offered were a buffet. And we were to go in front of every food and speak to it and have our body resonate with it. Is this something you want? We'd ask ourselves inside. Or is this something you'd want? And you picked the foods that said, yes, pick me. And then we were asked to spend an hour after we had eaten just kind of communing with that food that we had eaten. How many take that kind of time to eat? I know, like even in the cart, shoving it down, getting to the next place, or whatever it is that we do, or standing up to have lunch at work because, oh gosh, I don't have time to sit and enjoy it, let alone commune with it. So I invite you, as you are consuming things this week and as you move forward, ask yourself inside, is this going to perpetuate the way I'm feeling right now? Maybe it's good, or maybe it's really sluggish, or is this going to bring balance? Because there's that communication going on all the time. Randy told me a story about introducing his son to this when he was quite a bit younger. They were at a market in Toronto. Which one was it? Kensington Market. And they stood in front of a window, and he said to his son, and he was quite young, like maybe 10 years old or something, I want you to feel how that food feels and choose the one that you're attracted to the most. And he had never done that before. Normally it's just, oh, I want that. And I don't remember what he ended up picking up, but the whole idea is that we can start to be aware ourselves, and we can start to teach our children and those in our lives to just take some time and really notice what you're doing. So the body expresses intelligence It's apparent intelligence being lent by the consciousness which permeates it. The physical body is evolved for the purpose of allowing consciousness to function on this plane. That we're really truly the hands and feet of life, of spirit, and that how we move forward in it is really up to us. Charles Fillmore, Myrtle Fillmore, Ernest Holmes all had this big sky idea that somehow they could avoid death because they were able to heal their bodies when they were younger with things that were supposed to take them down much earlier than they did pass away. And from what I understand, Charles Fillmore and Ernest Holmes both admitted practically on their deathbed that we really didn't quite get how to get our minds to that place to keep on living. And so it goes to show you that we're influenced by what's around us. Deepak Chopra has a wonderful series called Magical Mind, Magical Body, and he uses an example of individuals who are asked if they would be willing to do a 30-day experiment. And they are all measured by a doctor in terms of their blood pressure, their weight, you know, all of the vital statistics. And they go into this compound where they have no influence from the outside world. And what they have in this place are things that remind them of what life was like in the 50s. So this would have happened, let's say, in the 70s, so 20 years before. And all of these individuals were, let's say, teenagers or sort of early 20s in the 50s. And what they discovered after 30 days of only seeing things from that time in their life, that everything in their system changed to that younger self. So why did that happen? Must be something to do with thinking. And so that's how we're influenced. So this idea of you being told that, oh, well, by the time you're 40, you have to wear glasses, or by the time you're such and such an age, you're going to need to have this done or that done, or because your family has cancer, you're going to have cancer for sure. And all of those things don't have to be true. You don't have to say, I agree with that. You don't have to surrender to that being your reality. Now, the idea of croaking one day, I wouldn't mind having that happen at a certain point. I'd like it to be when I've got it all figured out, though. Or a promise that I get to come back and try it again. Concepts like self-acceptance and body neutrality are not without value. When you have spent your entire life at war with your body, these models offer a truce. But you can have more than a ceasefire. You can have a radical self-love because you are already radical self-love. And I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. It took a long breath and replied, I've been waiting my whole life for this. And it is always there, like spirit is, just ready and waiting for you to acknowledge it, for you to be one with it, for you to walk with it, to be in harmony with it. So I'd like to invite you to just give me a couple, or let's say 3 or 4 things that you might have going on, and we're going to see what Louise Hay has to say about that. So I have this wonderful book, You Can Heal Your Life. This is an anniversary issue, so it's really lovely. You can borrow this today for a minute or two while you're here if you want to look something else up that I didn't mention, but please don't let it leave the building. So who would like to ask, what is the underlying thought behind a particular illness that you're interested in? Anybody? Sore right hip. So let's go with hips, because I think that she doesn't identify between one side and the other. Hip problems, or hip. So hips carries the body in perfect balance, major thrust in moving forward. So something to do with moving forward. Fear of going forward in major decisions, nothing to move forward to. and that the affirmations are, hip hip hooray! There is joy in every day. I am balanced and free. And the second one is, I am in perfect balance. I move forward in life with ease and with joy at every age. So another one? High blood pressure. And Diane? Headaches, okay. We're in the H's. This is great. Okay. I think high blood pressure is under blood pressure and headaches. Let's see, headaches. Invalidating the self, self-criticism and fear. I love and approve of myself. I see myself and what I do with the eyes of love. I am safe. And they say that, and this is just me and my reading, migraine headaches is when one is very self-critical on some level about themselves, very angry within. And I remember when I was going through migraine headaches, I was in my early teens, and I was very critical of myself and absolutely everything I was doing. And I remember that as I got more confident in what I was doing, that those migraine headaches never reoccurred. So I'd say that's true. And the other one was blood pressure, right? You know, I think that Louise Hay was such an amazing person to have come up with this as well. She worked with people who were living with AIDS. That was really what got her going, and that there were a number of individuals who actually went into remission as a consequence of recognizing why it was that this disease had manifested in their bodies. So blood pressure, long-standing emotional problem that's not solved. And that's high blood pressure and low blood pressure, lack of love as a child, defeatism, what's the use? It won't work anyway. And the affirmation, I joyously release the past, I am at peace. I have high blood pressure. I take pills though. So a long-standing emotional problem. Interesting as I think about that for myself and how I really, really was so proud that I was such a good people pleaser. I got paid really well to be a people pleaser too back then. And so I was rewarded for it. But as a consequence, now I take pills to control the blood pressure. And I have a belief system that somehow it won't go away naturally. So I keep taking pills. But I would imagine that if I were to really focus on this idea of my thoughts creating what's happening in my body, that blood pressure would naturally go too. So one more. Knees? Okay. Isn't this fun? Okay. Knee problems and knees. So knees represent pride and ego, and knee problems, stubborn ego and pride, inability to bend, fear, inflexibility, won't give in. Interesting. Forgiveness, understanding, compassion, I bend and flow with ease, and all is well. And it may not be bang on, but it's in the territory of the kind of thinking that may have manifested what's going on. And it may not even cause whatever it is that's going on to totally go away. But can you see how freeing recognizing why that's showing up can be? Because then you get to choose something differently. Because your body's always responding. So I'll leave it up here. If anybody wants to look up, I've got a little bookmark there. Yes?
I'm just wondering, I thought a lot of that was right on the money. So I'm wondering how she knew that.
I believe that she was very observant. I think she did a lot of studying as well. And I would imagine that when you're tapped in, tuned in to spirit, that there's a lot of information that is accessible to us, each of us, to be able to.
I think she's great. I just can't understand how.
Yes.
If she didn't have those things, then how she was into it.
I think about philosophers as well, you know, thousands of years ago, and the people whose writings we read today, and wonder, how did they get to be so wise? Imagine, though, if you spend 10, 12 hours a day thinking about philosophy, or like Louise Hay with these young men who had AIDS, thinking about how is it that their lives are this way? What are the common denominators? And I would bet that anything that each of us would spend 10, 12 hours a day doing, we'd get really good at it. So that's my thought on it. Practice listening to the body, befriending it, allowing it to have a say in the choices and activities of your life. Rather than living a life of hoping you're okay and making up for yourself, own what you do, respect and love it as the way that you show up, as only you can. Before each decision this week, and any time you're stuck in a feeling, close your eyes and ask your body what it wants to tell you. Give it the opportunity to be heard and loved. So say this one with me if that's comfortable. My body, exactly as it is a perfect and glorious instrument of the divine. I take pride in it and revel in the glory that is my body now. And so it is. So just take a minute and close your eyes. And imagine in your mind, what does love look like as an energy? And then imagine that energy of love just surrounding and permeating absolutely every aspect of you, including your thoughts, including that internal critic, including everything that is you. And when you're ready, just open your eyes.
Thank you. It was great, great talk, Rev Ann. I personally like, with my celery sticks, I dunk them into gravy and my mashed potatoes together. All right. So, giving affirmation. This is a conscious envelope time?
Yes.
Conscious giving? Okay, everyone take your envelopes in your hands, please. And we say after me with this affirmation. Alrighty. From the love of pure spirit in me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper. It is evidence of my faith. It does great work in the world, and it returns to me multiplied abundantly. Okay. Sorry,
You have some points there that you didn't cover.
Okay, sorry. Actually, no, conscious giving. Okay, the ushers will help with the sharing of the gifts and donations. And while they do that, well, we've already said the affirmation now, so we're going to pass it on to Deirdre for a song solo.
So,
There you go.
yes. Who's doing the collection, if you can please do that now?
I thought if you could look at this as a relationship with yourself, just as Rev Ann spoke about in her talk. Look at this face. I know the years are showing. Look at this life. I still don't know where it's going. I don't know much, but I know I love you, and that may be all there is to know. Look at these eyes, they've never seen what matters. Look at these rings, sometimes so beaten and battered. Ooh, I don't know much, but I know I love you. And that may be all I need to know. So many questions still left unanswered. So much I've never broken through. And when I feel you near me, sometimes I see so clearly the only truth I'll ever know is myself. Look at this woman, so blessed with inspiration. Look at this soul, still searching for salvation. I don't know much, but I know I love you. And that may be all I need to know.
Awesome. Thank you, Deidre. Of course, and thank you, Rev Ann, for that lovely discussion. And I believe you have some announcements for us, Deidre, with regards to the Valentine's?
Yes, the Valentine's concert, due to some factors, will have to be canceled. Yeah, yeah. So it won't be happening. So if you have already purchased tickets, then we'll make sure that you get that back. Okay, thank you so much.
There you go. All right, so descend upon Joan and go get that cash. If there's something that you'd like to say a prayer for, there's a little prayer request in the back of your seats. Please fill one out. We will hold it in consciousness for 30 days, and then it will be sent to Silent Unity, where it will be prayed upon for another 30 days as well. So if you would like to stand and take the hand of the person to the left and right, and join me in reading our closing affirmation. Okay, so look on the screen. I am at home in the heart of God.
I am at home in the heart of the Beloved.
My
My life is anchored in truth. I can never be separate. I live in the consciousness of peace. I release all fear. I am living love, and so it is.
Awesome. And please join us for refreshments after the final song, which will be done by Deidre, and it's the OJs.
It's just for you. All right, here we go. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. The next stop we make will be soon. Tell all the folks in Russia and China too. Don't you know that it's time to get on board and let this train keep on riding, riding on through. Come on, everybody, let's get on board. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. all of your brothers over in Africa. Tell all the folks in Egypt and Israel too. Please don't miss the strain at the station, 'cause if you miss it, I feel sorry, sorry for you. Come on, everybody. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. Let it run, let it run, let it run. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. And all the people say, hey.